What's up, everybody? It's Miles Turner, the Indiana Pacers. You're listening to the Paceroos Podcast. Be sure to follow @Paceroos on Twitter.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Paceroos Podcast, the only Australian NBA podcast with a bias towards the Indiana Pacers. And what a morning. Woke up, had some breakfast, and Shams just dropped a bomb, as he usually does when it comes to Victor Oladipo. But this bomb was that Victor Oladipo was traded as part of the James Harden mega deal to the Houston Rockets, and coming back the other way to the Indiana Pacers, Caris LeVert and a second round pick. A crazy morning, and I think the Pacers has been talking about this for quite a while, that Caris LeVert was an option for this deal, that Victor Oladipo was inevitably going to be traded and didn't want to commit to Indiana long term. There was clearly a fractured relationship there. To his credit, played extremely well to start this season, played hard. You cannot question his effort so far this season, like you could with James Harden, for example, but it's happened. It's done. Justin, how many I told you so's do you have holstered right now?
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, we were critical on Oladipo before the bubble. I mean, listeners of the show know we've preached trading Oladipo since early last year. Like, he was himself. We read all the signs. Like, you know, the way he came through the bubble, you know, his sister beefing with Miles Turner, it was just getting a bit toxic. I am so glad. Huge balls, I tweeted out, Kevin Pritchard actually making this deal. You know, I think sometimes the Pace organization doesn't want to trade a quote-unquote star, but they did it. And, you know, if you're a Pacer fan upset about this, I know Oladipo may have been your favorite player, but you've just got to think Kevin Pritchard did have the conversation with Oladipo and trying to re-sign him. He didn't commit. Pritchard had to move on. This is a fantastic day to be a Pacer fan.
Alex, I know that you've seen a few negative comments around social media, but I don't seem to get how people could look at this trade in a negative fashion, with the knowledge that Victor Oladipo was out the door. He was leaving in free agency in about 5-6 months' time.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me that I've seen is just that it's Oladipo, right? I don't think people are too mad at the actual trade or the return, because I think everyone's in agreement Caris is a good player, right? But at the end of the day, Oladipo has that Indiana connection. We talk about it all the time. Pacers fans love Indiana guys. So, it makes sense, doesn't it, that people loved Oladipo in that 2018 season. I talked about it. I think we can all agree as well. That was one of the funnest seasons in at least recent memory that we've had. So, nothing against Oladipo at the end of the day. He played well when he was a Pacer. He became an all-star here, but obviously the way it ended it leaves a salty taste in your mouth, doesn't it?
It does. I think, as I said, he played hard to start this season. He clearly was, you know, professional. He was gunning for that free agent contract. I mean, it's a common trope to say that players play harder in a contract year. But Victor Oladipo was playing really hard in his contract year. Whether those two things are related is up for debate. But you can say that he was professional. You can say that he contributed to the team and he did all that he can. And I think all of us are in agreement. Best of luck with the rest of your career. Best of luck in Houston. Best of luck in whatever is next for Victor Oladipo. We don't want to see any more injuries. We don't want to see any more missteps. We want to see you thrive in the NBA, and we want to see you, make the All-Star team and be super successful. I think for Pacers fans, though, it's turning a new page on the franchise. It's a new chapter. It's, trading for a guy that makes less money over more years. So, and is, arguably just as talented offensively. I think the drop off is obviously in the defense because of Vic's defensive ability. But I mean, Justin, this is such a logical move. This shores up our starting lineup for the next 2 seasons after this one. So we've got 3 years of this starting lineup effectively.
It is. I think we nearly got one of the best young, talented roster in the league. When you look at Sabonis, Brogdon, LeVert, TJ Warren, like Miles Turner, like that is a good core of players we can build around. And, Kevin Pritchard has the ability in the next few years to maybe swing for the fences like we spoke to him about on the Paceroos a few weeks ago. Whereas he can make an all-in move and try and get a star, and then, we're contending for a championship. So Yeah, big move, big day. I'm obviously ecstatic. Oladipo wasn't my favorite player, but I just saw the end game and it wasn't going to end pretty. And my question is, Oladipo's been in the league about 7 seasons. He's now entering his 4th team. You don't think he's going to be on the Rockets as of next year, so he'll be on his 5th team next year in 8 years. That becomes a bit of a journey, man. You can't hate on the Pacers if he's on his 5th team in 8 years as of next year. Wouldn't you agree, Alex?
Oh, 100%. But I think that also goes to show that obviously he still has value, doesn't he? So at the end of the day, we got a player who I think is a future all-star in return. I just want to give you guys some numbers because Caris, he's only started 4 games this year, but in those games, he's averaged 29 points, 5 rebounds, and 8 assists. Those are, I tweeted out his stats from the last 3 games without Kyrie. So I think he has a chance to be an absolute star here in Indiana, just like Oladipo did.
I think he does. I think the thing that I'd also say, though, is that we need a bit of patience from the franchise. I know that's tough to ask for. We struggle with patience sometimes. But, one of the things that I think Caitlin Cooper tweeted earlier today was Victor's been thriving off the ball this season. And we've seen where Malcolm as a primary ball handler has gone, and that is into the MVP race early in the year. Now, Caris is a ball-dominant player as well, so we need him to be able to play off the ball just like Vic does. We need Brogdon to be able to share the ball with Caris moving forward. So, there's inevitably going to be a few teething issues there as those players get acquainted with each other, as Sabonis gets used to playing with Caris, etc. Like, our key offensive players have to integrate another good offensive player into this lineup. And I don't think it's just going to happen first game, second game, third game. It's going to take a little bit of time. I think the one thing that we can say, though, is that these Pacers clearly believe in their coach. They believe in their staff. They believe in the ability of this team and this staff to set them up for success. So I've got great faith in Nate Bjorkgren to integrate Caris LeVert into this lineup, to use him in the way that's going to maximize the team's result. And it's great to not have to worry about this season's free agency class. We don't need to concern ourselves with a lack of cap space. We don't need to concern ourselves with, do we re-sign Vic? Can we get a sign and trade? Can we potentially get a pick back? None of that matters now. We have our core. TJ Warren is, I think, a free agent after next season. So that becomes the focus for the Pacers, trying to lock him down long term. But we have 5 starters now, and you have, Jeremy Lamb off the bench as well. So 6 players that, are top line players in this league and can contribute to a playoff team. And that's what we want. So I think it's clearly a positive move. We're all extremely positive about it. The focus turns to, I guess, the rest of the season. Sabonis and Brogdon are MVP candidates. Justin, do you expect either one of them to take a little bit of a back seat to a guy that averages 29 points a game when he starts?
Oh, no, not at all, to be honest, because Oladipo was kind of the face of the franchise, and Sabonis and Brogdon had no issues kind of leading the team with Oladipo on the court. So I think, if anything, it bolsters, the likes of Miles Turner. He's going to come in and say, he might think, this is my team now. Like, I got the leadership. I've been here the longest. Oladipo's gone. Sabonis and Brogdon can take that other step up. And, you mentioned a great point, Adam, about patience. And I just want to give a shout out to Nate Bjorkgren because, he's in the hot seat early, and now he's got a new player. He's lost one of his star players. So let's preach some patience with coach because, I couldn't imagine what everything he's going to deal with now, running through the playbook with Caris LeVert and all that new stuff. So also, and I just want to touch on before we move on, just about the trade value. Alex, you mentioned, not many people are upset about the trade value, but let's keep in mind in the offseason, Laker fans weren't going to do Danny Green in a first-round pick for Victor Oladipo. So let's remember that. I also remember Michael Grady, who works for Brooklyn, who used to be the Pacers PA announcer, said there's no way Brooklyn would do LeVert for Oladipo straight up. There is just no way. And we did it. So if you're not ecstatic about this trade, yes, it's sad to see Oladipo go, but the return for the Indiana Pacers is great. And I think you look on all 3 of our faces, if you're watching this on YouTube, we are very happy.
We are indeed. And that was an emergency episode of the Paceroos Podcast. We wish Caris LeVert all the best. We wish Victor Oladipo all the best. Final words, Alex. What would you like to say to Victor Oladipo?
Just thank you. You know, if the odd chance he's listening to this, thank you for the years you gave us. Obviously, like I said, to come out after everything that happened in the bubble, all the rumors, all the media attention he was getting in the offseason, and increase his value through the first 11 games. So, got to be grateful if you're a Pacers fan. Shout out to Oladipo.
That's a good way to end it. Guys, this has been the Paceroos Podcast. Thanks for listening to Emergency Pod. Catch you later.